All right, everyone, welcome to Medicine Buddha. Welcome to everyone who's new joining us for the first time. If you are indeed new, please say hello, say hey, as we say in the South. Say hey in the chat. And of course, welcome back to everyone who's been here. Please note the prayer sheets, the Google Doc. So go ahead and just click that link and add your prayers there. And that's been working out really well for me, by the way. Um, and questions can go into the question box. And so this way you keep the chat open, just for whatever one might want to do. Um, while you're supposed to be practicing. Okay? All right. Lots of stuff happening this week. And I'm going to forget most of them. Um, oh, yes, practice. Leaders, if you're interested in being a practice leader, please email Eric. And we'll get you the information for our kind of training session on Saturday. Um, we need a couple of people, so don't be scared to do it. Um, but if you have been teaching with me, this year in other venues, I encourage you to sign up. Um, the practice leading it's not going to be complex. You're not going to be expected to do what I do, which is frankly just sitting down and making up stuff every session. You're going to get, there's a basic framework, and I think this would be really nice for us to transition to having people take turns while I'm away doing other things. So I want people to talk about their practice. I want you to see people who are engaged with practice, and I think you learn a lot. All I sit and do is just talk about how wonderful it is to kind of like dwell with medicine Buddha, but it's important to hear different perspectives on the practice. All right. So email Eric, please do so. We have our Divine Mother practice on Sunday as well, and that's going to be fun. You can also, particularly my UK people, please sign up for Free Radicals, which is starting on Thursday. And that's going to be the new monthly group on the first Thursday of each month. Specifically for UK, Europe time zone. So there's going to be a teaching that's going to happen in the afternoon, early afternoon actually, for those on us on the East Coast. And so that's going to be open for anyone. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are, but it's a time zone specifically for my UK folks because I know it's midnight right now in the UK. And let's see, what else? There's another thing. Of course, Bhumi Sparsha, check the Bhumi Sparsha calendar. We have lots of stuff happening this week. Please be on the lookout for the announcement for our in-person urban retreat, which will be the last week in October, which we're really excited about. Atlanta is excited about it. And I hope you can join. We're going to be streaming some of it, as well as having um, those of us who can be in person. Um, so, let's see, I think there was something else coming up. I think that's it. Of course, I'll be at Wonderwell Retreat Center next, it's August. It's August. I can't believe it's August. It's almost fall. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe this year has flown by so quickly. So this month I'll be up in New England. I'll be down in DC giving a talk as well. The end of the month. All that's on the website or somewhere. It's somewhere in the world. I don't know. All I can do these days is just show up and talk. Um, and yeah, so like, I mean, wouldn't you rather just have a long, like, personal exploration of Beyonce right now? Isn't that what we all want right now? I just don't think. What else is giving us joy right now? Maybe it's just me. I know Eric wants this. I know Eric wants a little bit of Beyonce practice. Actually, this is no joke. I don't joke about shit like this. But um, during my natural Dharma days, and when I taught for natural Dharma, it was when I was living. Well, I was teaching for natural Dharma for several years before I actually moved to Boston. Um, After I came out of retreat, but during my graduate school days, I used to teach um, Natural Dharma Fellowship, which was right in Harvard Square. And some of you may have joined me for that. And I used to teach um, I used to teach something called the Dharma of Beyonce. I used to teach the Dharma of Beyonce, and I had a lot of like gay and queer young men, joining it, as I often do have young gay and queer men following me. I have lots of queer people, but definitely young men following me around. In any case, I got into this whole thing where I was trying to just get people interested in practice. I love to meet people where they are, right? And I was like, well, there are many ways that we can practice with Beyonce, with music of Beyonce. And we would just experiment, in the same way we do in this space, right? Um, and it really actually turned into something. Now, I am not going to do that tonight, obviously, but I don't know, I may pull it out on Sunday, you know. Um, yeah, like how do I say this and not sound like a stan? Um, I don't, I'm not like a stan. Like I just stan. I know there's some generational, some cultural differences. I'm breaking. I'm not code switching right now, so I may have to like do some definitions. When I say stan, I mean like a fanatic, like a fan, right? Um, I'm not a fangirl, you know. But I think at this point in my life, I can recognize and feel the strength of people's merit being channeled through the work that they do and the art, that they offer the world. So I do know that I can feel that. I can, when I eat food, like when I have food, I can feel the merit, the goodness, the virtue that was, channeled into that food. I've eaten stuff sometimes where I just like wanted to get it out my mouth because I have felt like just I don't know, the suffering of the person who prepared it, you know? Same thing with art. There's some pieces of art I just can't, I used to have a painting for years. Well, not for years, but I had it for like a year or so. Um, that I realized it was just full of so much dark energy. and I gave it, I gave it to a friend, um, and some like very sensitive, right? And so when I think about the art that people like Beyonce creates, I know if you're new, I know this is exactly what you're signing up for tonight. When I think about that, when I engage, particularly with this current piece of art from Beyonce, like I just feel there's a lot of like freedom that I feel, and of course, apparently, as we begin our practice, I know I'm just apparently talking to the Beyonce fans here. Um, I feel that Beyonce is very extraordinary. And my teacher used to talk about how, if you don't have this kind of awakened vision where you're able to see really what's happening around you and who people are, like you just have to be careful because until you develop that kind of awareness, like you don't know who people really are, what they're trying to do in the world, you know? Like you just don't know what people we may write people off and say, oh, they're just like a rapper or hip hop, you know, a rapper or art or what I'm trying to say. They're just like they just do this thing, right? It's not significant, you know. But you have to step back and say, is it though? Like, is that really the truth? Like, what? How is this thing that this person is producing, or the work this person is producing? How is it creating? How is it helping people? You know, like pay attention to that. And at least for my community, like for like black and queer and femme, and quite frankly, those of us born in the '90s and '80s. I was not born in either of those decades, by the way. So, I was born in the '70s. For those of us of a certain generation, like there's a way in which I think this current offering from Beyonce has really like awakened something, you know. It's really like awakened. It's like it's speaking. I feel light. Like I feel when I listen to the album, I feel a lot of virtue. I feel a lot of merit flowing in, right? Um, and that's incredible. And I bring this up because this is like incredible to have that ability, to have that capacity to, and it's not just Beyonce, by the way. It's like, think about your favorite artists and so forth. Like, it's not just Beyonce, but like the way that you can connect, to have that ability to free people through your art is such an incredible expression of virtue and such an amazing gift to offer. It's particularly right now where many of us are losing touch with contact with joy, and hope, and gratitude. Um, it's incredible. Of course, I talked about this a couple months ago when Andre Leon Talley died and Bell Hooks passed. It was a bunch of people in that period. But like I felt the same way about Andre Leon Talley, and people were really upset that I compared Andre Leon Talley to Thich Nhat Hanh. When people started getting into that, it's just an easy way to hide, to mask anti-blackness. You know, but it's like you may not have been a Thich Nhat Hanh, but it doesn't mean that you weren't freeing people through your work, right? That you weren't saving people's lives, through the vision that you offered people, you know, right? And when you're continuously living in a social context where, if you're like me, or if you identify with me, like where you struggle and still struggle to see yourself reflected positively in the world, right? And for someone to come along and say that you're beautiful and the culture that you came up in is beautiful, and the language that you're using and your dance and your music, and your references and your food, like when someone comes along and reflects that back to you and say, this isn't, you know, about being poor, this isn't about struggling, this is about expressing an authenticity, and being authentic is actually how you actually get free. Like you you can't fake it and get free, right? And this is why what I say too. It's like we're not all supposed to be monastics. We're not all supposed to be, living in monastery. That's not the only way to get free. For some of us, we get free on the streets. We get free in the projects, in the hood, in the ghetto where I grew up. I grew up in the projects. It's like you can get free anywhere. That's also the spirit of Tantra. Tantra says that you can get free from any place, right? Like sex work is a position, a place of freedom, right? Right? Because it's not what we're doing, it's the intention. Are we aware, right? You know. So you can be in the monastery, you can be dropping it like it's hot in the street. As long as you know what you're doing and there's compassion there, then you're on your way. And this is why I love Tantra. I mean, when I came into Tantra and read these stories about these people getting awakened and liberated, doing all kinds of stuff and living all kinds of lives, I said, this is the tradition that I need to be in, right here. You know, this is it, right? This is where I need to be. So it's exciting, you know. It's exciting. I wouldn't say of course it's exciting for me, but it's just so exciting to know that you can get liberated wherever you are. I just love that. You can get liberated wherever you are, however you are. So yeah, you know, um, yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. But yeah, I want us to get, I just want us to lose this kind of rigidity, and I see this everywhere in these traditions, but you're not gonna, you're not gonna see the awakening you want to see if you just get so rigid. Like if you are always saying, well, if you're always limiting this idea of freedom and liberation to one particular presentation, it's just never gonna work. The world and the universe is so unbelievably complex, you know. But we try to oversimplify things way too much, and it's never gonna. You have to, you have to get complex, right? You have to. The complexity is the expansion. The simplicity sometimes is the contraction. You know, and we can deal with complexity once we develop the capacity to hold everything. To hold everything. Right? And what is that? That's Mahamudra. That's Shamatha Shanae. The first stage of Shanae, or the first stage of mindfulness, right, is the capacity to hold, to not react, to reduce reactivity, and to become aware of everything, right? Like, I don't have to figure out the complexity. I don't have to know everything. I just have to let it be there and notice it. That's all I have to do. That's all we're being asked to do, right? That's at least the first stage. Letting everything be there, noticing everything, becoming aware of everything. And then everything else happens from there, Once you stop reacting to everything, you stop being distracted, right? And once you stop being distracted, that's when wisdom starts to arise, clarity, right? When I'm not always distracted, I actually start transitioning into clarity, into wisdom, right? And then that's when your energy really gets really protected and sharp. It's where your energy really starts coming together, and you can start directing the energy, into experiencing the nature of everything that you're holding space for. You know? You can't direct your energy if it's all over the place. Like when you're always being distracted, you're going from here to there and over there, and it's like that's exhausting, right? But you wanna hold everything, and all of a sudden that energy comes back, right? And once that energy comes back, you have the agency over this energy. You can call this energy intelligence. You can call it awareness, right? Intelligent energy, you know, right? And once I'm not so distracted, I can say, oh, what do I need to respond to? What do I need to focus on? Maybe I can focus on the nature of all of this. I'm holding space for everything now. What is the nature of this? Right? I mean, it's all Dharma. I'm not making anything up. Like, this is like, you can read, a book of Mahamudra, and that's exactly what you'll get. You know? I just think it's really exciting. you know? Um, there are so many people in the world who are doing things to get us free, and you'll never know who and what they are, right? You'll never know. Um, there are beings who are working so skillfully that, so skillfully that you don't even notice what they're doing, um, which is extraordinary. They're not expecting attention. They're not looking for a parade or an award or social media followers. Like, but they're just like, I just want people to be free. I just care about people. I care about myself, and that's it. And they do this extraordinary work, but it feels so ordinary, right? It doesn't feel so produced, right? Um, and that's incredible. You know, that's really incredible. You know, and people, people for years, always, I get all this criticism about all kinds of stuff, you know, um, about how I understand liberation and freedom, and what I can say for me is that if I were not experiencing liberation from my practice and the work that I'm doing, then I wouldn't be here. So something is working. I have a lot of data to suggest that I'm thinking in the right direction about some of this. You know, and that's the spirit of Renaissance of Beyonce's new album. You know, it feels like I'm on a commercial now promoting Beyonce, but I just think it just needs to be pointed out. So I want you all to pay attention to how people are trying to get you free in ways, that are not so apparent. Ways in which you just kind of like push to the side and say, "Oh, this isn't relevant," right? But the ways in which, yeah, it's a somatic album. Like, it's like the ways in which you're being invited back into your body, the ways in which you're being, not just about somatics, but the ways in which you're being asked to consider ancestry and lineage, the ways that you're like being invited into it. You know what it feels like for those of you who have done medicine journeys before? It feels like a medicine journey. In some parts, some songs are like being invited into work, you know? Um, there's so much liberation in black queer culture, right? And I hope we understand that. I mean, there's liberation in many cultures, you know, many communities. I only speak from my own experience in black queer cultures. There's so much liberation, right? You know, um, there's so much wisdom um, in the culture that has to be expressed more right now. We need different ways of being free, you know, different ways of being free that aren't based on consumption and capitalism and the prison industrial complex and fear. Like, free to be free in your body, to be free in the world, be free to be yourself, right? And this is why you're seeing so much of this rigid, conservative, kind of right wing kind of like contraction right now through activity, you know, because actually a lot of people don't want to be free, right? Actually, people are fine where they are, you know. Like everything that's being legislated and laws and everything, it's the terror of what it means to transcend rigidity, you know. When you get comfortable in rigidity, when you make a home in rigidity, and you say, "This is me. This is. There's nothing else," right? Because if I attempt to expand, to challenge who and what I am, then I have to deal with everything that I keep running away from, which is the trauma, the pain, right? The sadness, the despair, right? Oh, it's so much here. Like it's like, but I do. I know some of you listen to the stuff that I do on the Calm app. But this last program on coming out, I talk about that. I talk about what would it be like if you could just be your most authentic self, right? Who are you, right? Like, who are you? Like, what are your dreams? Like, what what makes you happy? Like, what's your pleasure? You know, like, what gets you going? What turns you on, right? What are you grateful for? I mean, these are some of the questions that really started getting into who and what we are. Like, who would I be, right, if I wasn't afraid to be it? That could be good and bad, but who would I be if I could just live into my joy? You know, and I'm not talking about the joy from like reacting to other people's pain. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real joy isn't a reactive thing. Real joy is a state of being. If I could just move into that state of being, expand into that state of being, who would I be beyond the fear, right? Beyond the fear of violence, retaliation, suppression, marginalization. And who would I be? And this is why I am so like grateful um, to be black and queer and aspire, because I grew up in a community that's already asked themselves that. right? And people well before me started living into their joy, even when they knew they could get killed, and still are actually being killed for being themselves. You know, that's what liberation looks like when you choose to be free, and you know that will put your life in danger. And that's what many of us are missing right now. Like, to choose freedom, knowing the consequences of what it means to be free in the context that we're living now. That we don't feel like we have what we need to risk, right? So, I'm working on, for the book. One day this book is going to be finished, and I would like for it to be finished this month. I'm working on this whole idea of work, and when I say work, I mean WERK, work, work, right? And practice and fierceness, like really like pulling these parts of the culture into practice and saying, what does it mean to work? You know, what does it mean to practice fierceness? What are you working to do? What is this fierceness cutting through? Because all of this is in Tantra anyway, you know, with the fearlessness of work, right? Work. Like when you get to a point where you say, fuck it, I am going to choose freedom regardless of if this puts my life in danger. Because there are a lot of people making that choice every single day, right? Like I think there's like a line. Is there a line? Um, Speaking of lines, I need a manicure. Um, Now I'm distracted. See, this is what happens when you get distracted, right? You lose your energy. Um, I was not saying line. Yeah, the line. There's this line that we're like really, I don't want to even say toying, but I think there's this line that we're on one side of the line and we're looking over the line to the other side. And on the other side of that line, like, is our understanding of freedom and the choices that we need to make to be free, right? And we're so afraid to cross that line because when you cross the line, right, there's, I don't want to say there's no going back, but like when you cross that line into actually practicing and being free, right, you, what happens? Like there, like you cross the line, like you step over that, or you move over the line into this place of being free and practicing freedom and choosing freedom. Like you become something different, right? You're no longer ordinary, right? You're like singled out, like you're seen, you're known because you're doing something that a lot of people who are still on the other side of the line are not doing, right? And that's a kind of a burden to hold because freedom does become labor in that way. Like being free, choosing freedom is labor because you have to hold the violence of others who are looking at you as you reflect back to them the ways in which they're choosing not to be free. right? So a shorter way of saying, like when you choose freedom, when you cross that line, you become a mirror for other people who are afraid to make the same choices, and instead of dealing with their own fear about freedom, they're just going to try to annihilate you. Right? You know, and that's important, right? To sit with, like that's you have to think about that. I think when you're making these choices, like you have to understand that you become a target when you choose freedom in an unfree world, right? And can you hold that, right? But of course, as I have said over and over again, we don't have to hold it alone because there's community. There's the seen community around you. There's the unseen community around you as well. You know? Yeah. But this is also why we choose freedom, because we have to let people know what's possible. You know. So again, I wouldn't be here. You know, as well as a lot of people, I wouldn't be here. You know, there's a lot of people whose lives have influenced mine, you know, so I could make similar choices. And then that's a list that goes on and on and on. You know, many communities, right, that have influenced me. But like I wouldn't be able to make the choices if the generations before me hadn't made choices like this. Like if my ancestors hadn't chose freedom, right? I always, talking about queerness, I always talk about Stonewall as one of several events, right, that contributed to gay liberation organizing. But like, who would we be? Where would we be if we didn't have ancestors who chose to do something different and to hold the violence that came with choosing to be free and to practice freedom? You know? And what choices do we need to make now, knowing that our descendants are relying on us to choose freedom so they can have a model of freedom when they are called into the world? I mean, if they're probably already here, many of them are, right? But I'm talking about into the future, right? I'm talking about generations to come. What will they have if we don't continue to choose to do the work, right? The work at this moment, which is very difficult to do right now. Like, what are they going to have if we don't make the choices right now to be free? To be free, to practice freedom, to choose freedom, and to be joyful in the choosing, because that's also the other stipulation. I can't choose freedom because I'm angry, right? I'm not choosing freedom because I'm in despair. I'm actually choosing freedom because that is where my joy is. Like, I'm choosing freedom and joy, which makes it very potent, a potent choice, an intense choice to choose freedom and joy. I am working towards liberation and I am singing, right? I am dancing, I am laughing, I am in love, choosing freedom, right? Yes, liberation work is hard, it's costly, but again, what my ancestors showed me over and over again is that, like, and there's this incredible space for joy to arise. It doesn't have to be either or. Like, it can be both. This is, again, nature of mind work, right? Like, everything's arising at the same time, you know? Why am I pushing certain experiences away and fixating on other experiences? Why can't I just let everything arise together? The struggle and the joy. Ooh, are the love and the rage. You know, because I read a really interesting book about that. Right? The love and the rage, the struggle and the joy. It's so much. It is so. This is a lot for us to do. I mean, and I get it. You know, I get it. Like listen, I'm on this path as well. Um, but we have what we need at the same time. You have what you need. But do you trust yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust the practices? Right? Do you trust the resources that you have to get you free? You can't keep choosing the sorrow and the fear and the despair. Like it's just you just can't keep going down that road all the time. Like you have to choose something else. You know, you have to choose something different. You know, I really could use a manicure right now. It's really unfortunate. I need to choose a manicure. That's what I should be choosing in the next few days. Oh, but where is the deity? Wasn't that always the question at this point? where is where is the divine? Where is the sacred? Where is the nature of things? Well, because that's the wisdom deity, which is what we're doing in this session. The wisdom deity arises out of all of this contradiction and struggle and freedom work and organizing, right? The deity, the wisdom deity arises out of the systems and the institutions, right, that are hurting us and harming us. The deity arises out of this. One could say that this is the deity, which is really confusing, right? But it's not so confusing when you understand that, like, the nature of everything is the deity, which is to say that the deity is only an expression of the essence of the space and the emptiness and the energy. And this is you know, what we would call the secret level of freedom is actually realizing that everything, the nature of everything is the same nature, right? Right? That the same nature of, you know, fire is the same nature as water, right? The same nature of violence is the same nature of laughter. Like everything arises from the same essence. And that essence is also the essence of the deity. And at some point you have to start feeling that. Like as you're in your life and in your body and in the world. Like this is the thing that we have to start training in. And in the beginning it's just a thought, a mantra, right? A philosophy maybe, a teaching. You know, that yeah, everything arises from the same essence, no matter what it is. Everything has the same essence. Right? Even the nature of sickness is taught in the Medicine Buddha Tantras. Even the essence of sickness is essentially the expression of space, emptiness, and energy, which means that sickness is already fundamentally liberated, like all phenomena. All phenomena is already liberated. What isn't liberated is our perception, right? And what we think things are, our lack of clarity keeps us incarcerated. Right? Some of us try to do too much here. Right? It's like, yeah, we want everyone to be free, we want everything liberated, but you have to start with the basics. You have to start with this. This is where we start. With this fundamental contemplation. Everything has the same nature. Everything arises out of the essence of everything. There is nothing that does not arise out of this essence. There is nothing that is not inherently empty, spacious, and imbued with this energy. Right, so that's where we start. You know, even thinking about our favorite artists and how they make us feel. You know? Even they too are expressions of this fundamental essence. Right? If you take a really, if you really go into the heart of deity practice, right? And in this case, this is medicine Buddha. So when we really get into medicine Buddha, we begin to actually know that all phenomena, like the phenomena that we can sense and interact with and label and name and do all the kind of things that we do to phenomena, that all this phenomena is really just the body of the deity, right? That I am sitting and living in the body of the deity, still as an expression of the essence. And this is a prayer as well as a meditation. I am living in the body of the deity. Everything is the body of the deity. The sounds, the vibrations that I can sense and feel or hear is the speech of the deity. It is the deity singing to me. I hear the sweetness of medicine Buddha in every sound and the vibration around me. Like the other energy that I feel in me and around me, this is the mind of the deity working, moving, dreaming, expressing. And this can be the practice right here, like this fundamental contemplation that I am sitting in the body of the deity. I am listening and feeling the speech of the deity. Right? I am being moved by the mind of the deity. And the more we do that, the more spaciousness begins to arise. So we're not going to go much further than this, but I want to introduce the mantras. So we'll begin with our opening mantra, Om Min Lasange Kino Soha. And we'll chant this just a couple of times. Also, we're going to not just chant it, like sing it, but I want us to do just like individual chanting of it as well. I want us to get into this as well as we deepen into the practice. Just counting mantras as we used to say. Om Minla Sange Kino. Medicine Buddha, please think of me. Please know me. And may it be so. Om Minla the sound, the frequency, right? That is the root of everything. It's the essence. If there's a sound to the essence of everything, a frequency to the essence of everything, it is So it can be like the reminds us that we are already free. There's no point that we haven't not been free. We just forgot. We were free. And the is a reminder saying, oh, by the way, like you're already liberated. Right? And I am expressing from the heart of this liberation. So we're going to start with just chanting And if we were actually, this is something we're going to do at our retreat in October. We can't do it, obviously, online, but a continuous with the room full of people is actually quite transformative, very powerful. But we're just going to just say I'll pretend like I'm a room full of people, right, on your behalf. But the when we chant, we're just gonna chant allow the to invite you back to like these primordial memories of liberation, beyond the trauma, beyond the dichotomies and dualities of love and hate and up and down, light and dark, beyond all of that, back to this primordial being. something back to something that feels just slightly familiar. Okay, so let's begin. Taking a breath. And then moving into our mantra, then last Sunday keynote Soha. Om la sange kino 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 soha. And just saying that, as a mantra, as much as you want, just for a couple of moments. Om la sange kino soha. 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 Right, as you're chanting this or saying this, you're opening to this secret expression of all phenomena, this fundamental essence, the space, the openness, the emptiness, the fluidity, the energy, just an experience of being, just an experience of being. Om Menla Sange Kino Soha. Om Menla Sange Kino Soha. Om Menla Sange Kino Soha. Menla Sange Kino Soha. Menla Sange Kino Soha. Om Menla Sange Kino Om la sange kino soha. 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 And this is coming to just a close here. Om Minla Sange Kino Soha. we're gonna, begin transitioning into the main mantra, Om Teata, or Teata, Om Bekinse, Maha, Bekinse, Rasa, Sumongate, Soha. And you have the mantra page there, so you can reference everything with the mantras. And so as we prepare attention to our main mantra, this is where I want us to stay right now. This is more, of a practice of contemplation today, perhaps. But letting ourselves explore what it feels like to be held by the deity, like we're sitting in the body of all phenomena is the body of the deity. Like the sounds, the vibrations that we're feeling and hearing, or the speech, it's the deity speaking, right? And the deity speaking, what I like to call these sweet nothings of liberation, of freedom. Right? And it's not the kind of liberation where we're like organizing and doing and marching and, having workshops. Not that isn't fun and great. But like the liberation right now is just like letting go of that doing right now and dropping into being. And that being is about letting everything arise, letting everything come and go as it will. Because that is the mind of the deity, right? Just letting everything move and shift and just noticing it. I don't have to react, I don't have to think about it. This is the mind of the awakened beings. That things just are. Right? So as we move into the mantra, we're just being. We're becoming our most basic, authentic self in the moment. By just letting everything rise and fall, come and go. Right? Using the mantra as an anchor, right? So if we need our attention, if we need something for our attention to hang on to, that's the anchor, the speech of the deity, right? The mind of the deity even, be the anchor for us. Let that ground us as we let everything just awaken and be. So again, Teata, baconze, Maha baconze, Rasa Sumo, Ngate, Soha. O Teata, baconze, Ma baconze, Rasa Sumo, Ngate, Soha. Beatum begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soa. Beata begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungate soa. Beata begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gate soa. Beata begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gate soa. Beata begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gate soa. Teata sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. Deata om begenze, begenze, ma begenze, laza sumo gate soa. I'm going to turn our attention to our prayer requests now. As always, I invite all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, all benevolent beings, ancestors, all guardians of the land, all the elements, including the earth, all of the deities of our ancestors, and all beings who can help us and support us in helping these prayers reach fruition. We invite all these beings to come and be with us tonight and to hold the prayers that we begin to offer. We are offering prayers for my friend John, who suffers from suffering. Offering prayers for Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek and Mary Alice from The Matrix, who joined the ancestors this week. Prayers as they transition. Prayers for Bill, who was on his way home from the hospital. Thank you for the prayers last week. Prayers for Shirley as she cares for her father, who has dementia, and her mother, who needs physical support. Prayers for Violet, whose mother transitioned this week. Prayers for Liz, dealing with COVID. Prayers for my partner and I working through our codependent dynamics, that we find ourselves more fully as well as healthier dynamic. Prayers for S and her family as they make a cross-country move from California to Atlanta. May they settle quickly and find home, comfort, and new community. Prayers for my body's aches and pains, the ones that are created and the ones passed down from my ancestors. Prayers that those in political power create policy that supports, uplifts, and protects those who have been marginalized, especially Black queer people. Prayers for everyone who is lost and confused, everyone who fears their practice is not strong enough, for everyone who is doubting and need. May we be held and supported. May our practice be affirmed. May we be held in the heart of this community. Prayers for my sister and I, caring for our mom with dementia, praying for the stray cat I feed who showed up with a wound, and for the safety and health of our animals. And for me, that I not be consumed with fear. Prayers for Lama Rod and our homecoming circles. Prayers for all those in recovery and those trying to be in recovery. Prayers for the ocean. Prayers for Larry, Gina, Lupinka, and Imelda, and all mothers struggling to be in authentic relationships with their children. Prayers for the 5 youth and their family and friends who were in a horrific car accident on Thursday. One of the teens died and 2 others are in critical condition, which has rocked our community. Prayers for my wife, Valentina, for her health and peace. Prayers for my mom, as today would have been her 50th wedding anniversary with my dad, who passed away 8 months ago. Prayers for my family as we work towards a new relationship with mental illness through love and solidarity. Prayers for strength through mental health challenges and grief. Prayers that I may be able to get through the work challenges that I'm experiencing, and may the outcome be for the benefit of all. Prayers for my mom that she find the right people to help her with her physical and mental challenges. Prayers for rent control meeting happening right now here in Albuquerque. Prayers for my search for safe, affordable, cute housing and easy, gentle timing exiting my current home. Prayers for Lama Rod and all the Sangha for health, well-being, and care. Gratitude for the healing energy of earth and the peace of working in the garden. Prayers for the earth's resilience while humans learn to be in right relationship with her. Prayers for all those incarcerated, that they keep hope and find love and care while they are inside. Prayers of gratitude for my brother, Chip, who would have been 78 on Wednesday. He died when he was 16. A super great thing, a super great being. Also prayers for my mother, Harriet, wherever she is now, who died on August 4th, 2010. Prayers for healing of my knee and the whole being. For all my friends suffering from illness and loss. Big prayers that the Inflation Reduction Act, etc., and the climate legislation, which has tons of helpful pieces for all of us, passes the Senate this week. Prayers for all those who can't see love right now and are living in fear, that they are upheld until the light shines on them again. Prayers for those suffering under the immediate effects with climate change, through fires, floods, heat, and displacement. For those who are being harmed by war and hatred from states and government. Prayers for Brittany Guder, that she be freed immediately, that she is sustained and cared for in the interim. For all the beings working so skillfully to get us free, quietly in heaven, that we may all be those people. Prayers for the people of Taiwan. Prayers for my daughter, that she may be surrounded by people who recognize her light and love her for it. Prayers for Graham and his family and community. Prayers for Rosita, who is struggling with Lyme. Prayers for Uncle Tom, who is experiencing dizziness and fatigue. Prayers for Erica, her family, and her father, Tom, who has passed on. Prayers for Jody, whose husband has dementia. And prayers for a safe trip for my family. We continue to offer prayers for all beings who are struggling with the sicknesses that are so prevalent now, including COVID and monkeypox, but all illnesses, including cancer and so forth. We pray for the disruption and the abolishing of all systems of violence and harm that keep all of us from experiencing liberation. May we all awaken to the essence of everything. May we all begin to have the confidence that we are already free if we can just remember that. We all have what we need to continue the work of getting back to who and what we are. And just releasing the energy of these prayers into the space around us, into the body of the deity. We ask all those beings we invited to hear these prayers to act quickly on our behalf to bring about the fruition of these prayers. When you're ready, returning back into our mantra just for a couple more moments, settling back into the essence. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azasumungate suva. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azasumungate suva. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze. Azumungate suwa, teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azumungate suwa, teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azumungate suwa, teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azumungate suwa. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azasumungate suwa. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze, azasumungate suwa. Teata umbegenze, begenze, ma begenze. Azumagatisua, Teata, Beganze, Beganze, Ma Beganze, Azumagatisua, Teata, Beganze, Beganze, Ma Beganze, Azumagatisua, Teata, Beganze, ma beganze, raza sumugate sua. And now, transitioning into the mantra of Mother Durga, which again is on the mantra sheet. Dum Durgaye Namaha. Dum Durgaye Namaha. As we chant this, really connecting to the sense of protection, as we close out this session, this belief that from the essence of everything, this energy of protection arises around us and all those we've offered prayers for. This protection being offered by an expression of this ultimate essence, which is the mother. The mother as expressed in this practice as Mother Durga, and one of the fiercest forms of the mother aspect of the essence of everything. Dum Durgaye Namaha. 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 And just coming back now, back into the space. If you went anywhere, come back. Um, so we're gonna, let's see, okay. So we have Shanti Davis prayer already posted in the chat box. We're gonna recite this 3 times together. And I'll come back and answer the questions. All right. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. And just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they all pass away from pain, may I be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all the sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. And just like space, the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. I'm just gonna turn some attention to the questions. I was just thinking, reminded um, that you know how Beyonce, I'm talking about Beyonce there. Beyonce dedicated the album to her gay uncle. Um, I think his name is Johnny. I may be mistaken. But you know how I also have a gay uncle, not much older than me, um, but someone who has been really influential to me in my life. And we were talking last night, um, and he's someone who holds a lot of the magic, healing work in my family. And we talk a lot about this, but he was just talking about protection, right? How important it is for us, to connect to sources of protection, to really feel that we're being held, we're being guided right now. And I don't know, I just felt like I wanted to share that, to express that. And of course, we talk about this often, but to really connect to your protection. This is why, again, I came up with this 7 homecomings practice. I just wanted us to have something that we could use to really gather our protectors around us. So I just want to reinforce that. Durga Ma, again, for me, is part of my protection. A mantra that I often use in my practice, to feel that ring of protection, to feel the mother, really wrapping them out around me as well. But anyhow, questions. This is first question. Are you the only Lama that does this wonderful stream of consciousness? I would say I'm the only Lama that I know of. And of course, I sit in other traditions, right? And, this isn't so uncommon in other kinds of traditions of meditation. Um, it's just, for the most part, it's just something that I just find very natural. I just, it's just for me, my practice has been so much about trust and faith. Like that, those have been my rough edges. Like at the beginning of my practice, trust, faith, devotion were just really hard. I mean, those were the hardest things, and prostrations were also pretty much up there as well. But like, trust, faith, trusting myself, it was just a lot. And I think what helped me, um, and the teacher who helped me to do this was Lama Willa Baker, um, who would, after I finished retreat and I trained with her in teaching, she would just kind of throw me out into situations, and without, she would just be like, don't prepare anything, don't think about anything, just sit on a cushion and just start talking. And she just kind of forced me to do that, and I'm really grateful to have had that training, just to rely on my own wisdom in the moment, because this is all it is. It's just this opening to wisdom and trusting it, right? Just taking the leap, like whatever is channeled is meant to be shared, you know. Right. Let's see. Next question. When I am open, my imagination will offer me lovely healing journeys. I love that. Can keep doing that. I find myself reacting to this with fear and shame afterwards. What right have I to trust random things my mind dishes up? What, one more time. What right have I to trust random things my mind dishes up and take it as truth? I would like to get over that. Any tips? Again, it's the trust of self. Like it's so many of the systems that we survive. The systems survive because we have been taught not to trust ourselves, not to trust our bodies, not to trust our intuitions, not to trust what brings us pleasure and joy. So that's always in doubt, right? And so, like, who am I to trust this? Well, it's your mind, right? And if this is healing, like, if you really feel like this is healing, you have to really trust it. Like, this is something not just your mind is offering, but it's something that your ancestors and guides are offering you as well. Um, yeah. I mean, who cares if it's truthful or not? Like, that's what is truth? I feel like that's a line from a movie or a play or something. What is truth? Um, does it matter if it's truthful or not? You know, can you actually just trust the experience in the moment? Like this is happening right now. I can trust that, right? Um, I don't know. I hope that's helpful. Um, oh, the retreat in October. That's going to be shared. It hasn't. It's not official yet. So, but the dates are the 25th or the 26th through. It's just 3 days, 3 or 4 days in October. The last week in October. In that week. But you'll get that if you're signed up to the email list for Booming Smarter, you'll get the announcement as soon as we get some stuff booked and planned. Okay. Um, I hope this was helpful for everyone. I hope to see everyone. Yeah, the 25th to the 29th. Yeah. So stay connected, stay tuned. You'll get more details about that Some of it is streamed, so you don't have to be in person, and the rest of it will be in person. Okay, I think that's it. Um, yeah, I hope to see some of you, and I hope to see some of you definitely Saturday for the yeah. It's not teacher training. We're not going to be doing teacher training in 2 hours. Just like facilitation support around keeping the space going. That's all it is. Mother practice on Sunday, and free radicals on Thursday. Right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see you next Monday. All right. Bye.